For many people, believing in God or the universe is something they grow up with. It's passed down like a family tradition. From a young age, they are taught what to believe, how to pray, and who or what to follow. They don't usually question it, not because they're weak-minded, but because that's the environment they were raised in. Faith, for them, becomes a comfortable pattern, something familiar, something they follow out of habit or culture. But for others, the ones often called the chosen ones, things feel different. From the beginning, they sense that the world around them doesn't quite match the stories they've been told. These people are wired for something deeper. They don't want to believe just because someone told them to. They want to understand it, to feel it, to know it for themselves. From early on, they carry questions that others seem to ignore. They wonder why things are the way they are. Why do bad things happen? Why do religious people sometimes act in unkind ways? Why does God feel distant, even when everyone says he is close? These aren't rebellious thoughts. They are signs of a soul that craves truth, not tradition. Because of this inner search, chosen ones often take longer to fully believe. Not because they are less faithful, but because they are more sensitive to what's real and what's not. They see through empty words. They feel when something is off, even if everyone else is going along with it. And so they ask harder questions. They challenge the rules. They dig deeper, even when it's uncomfortable. Their path is not a straight line. It winds through doubt, pain, silence, and eventually, understanding. If you've ever felt out of place in a religious setting, unsure about what to believe, or even afraid to believe at all, you're not broken. You're not lost. You might just be one of the chosen. And the journey you're on, the delays, the doubts, the detours, they're all part of your spiritual design. Because when a chosen one finally comes to believe, that belief isn't shallow. It's not just emotional. It's solid. It's lived. It's been tested and proven through experience. That kind of belief can't be shaken by arguments or fear. It becomes a core part of who you are. What makes the path of the chosen so unique is that they often carry a kind of ancient wisdom within them. Even before they know how to explain it, they feel things that others don't. As children, they might stare at the stars and sense they've been here before. They might walk into a room and instantly feel the energy, pick up on emotions, or notice things no one else sees. Their awareness of the spiritual world begins long before they read a scripture or attend a service. It's not something they were taught, it's something they came here with. But as they grow, they enter environments that are more about rules than connection, more about obedience than understanding. And that creates a painful tension. In these spaces, they might hear about a God who punishes, but inside, they already feel a God who loves. They hear sermons about judgment, but their soul longs for healing. The conflict between what they are told and what they feel can create deep confusion. Some try to fit in and end up suppressing their inner knowing. Others reject religion altogether. Many just drift, stuck in a space where nothing feels true anymore. But eventually, something happens, whether through solitude, loss, meditation, or a powerful spiritual experience that brings them back to the source. Not the one they were taught, but the one they've always felt whispering in their soul. And that's when their real faith begins, not from memorizing a scripture, but from meeting God in a way that is personal and undeniable. Another reason chosen ones take longer to believe is because of pain. Many of them go through more suffering than most people. Their childhoods are often marked by instability, absent parents, emotional neglect, rejection, betrayal. As they grow, they face deep loneliness, financial struggles, heartbreaks, or even physical and emotional abuse. It seems like life hits them harder and more often. This trauma shakes their sense of safety. It makes them question not just people, but the very goodness of life. And in those dark moments, it's natural to ask, where is God? Why did this happen to me? Their pain becomes a wall, and behind that wall, they can't feel the presence of God. It's hard to trust in something divine when everything around you feels broken. But here's what most don't realize. The pain wasn't a punishment. It was preparation. Every tear they cried, every time they were left alone, every door that closed, it was all part of their shaping. It was creating strength, wisdom, and empathy. It was teaching them how to lead, how to love deeply, how to walk alone when needed. And even though it felt like God was silent during the suffering, later, they look back and see it differently. They realize that God was always there, quiet, steady, watching them grow through the fire. These experiences give chosen ones a kind of spiritual depth that can't be taught in a class. It's not just about believing, it's about knowing. Not just reading about God, but meeting God, often in their darkest moments. That kind of connection can't be shaken. It becomes their anchor, their truth. Chosen ones also tend to be very logical and introspective. Their minds work differently. They don't just want to be told what to believe, they need to understand why. They think deeply about life, death, meaning, good and evil. From a young age, they might ask questions that seem too big for their age. They don't accept answers that feel shallow or incomplete. They need their beliefs to make sense, not just emotionally, but intellectually. This makes their spiritual journey slower because they don't fake faith. They don't pretend to believe something just to fit in. They keep questioning, even when it makes them feel alone. But once they find something that rings true, they embrace it fully. Their belief becomes rooted in both heart and mind. They don't just have faith, they have understanding. And because of that, they are able to help others who are still struggling with doubt. Another challenge they face is witnessing hypocrisy in spiritual or religious spaces. Many chosen ones grow up in churches, mosques, or temples where the teachings sound holy, but the actions don't match. They see religious leaders speak about love, but act with judgment. They see communities preach forgiveness, but hold on to resentment. They watch people use sacred texts not to heal, but to control or shame others. And this contradiction is deeply painful for someone who seeks truth. Because chosen ones value honesty and alignment, this kind of hypocrisy can drive them away from organized religion entirely. They can't stand to see something as sacred as faith used in manipulative ways. But instead of giving up, they often go searching for something more real. And eventually, they find it, not in a building, but in their own inner connection to the divine. They discover that real spirituality isn't about performance or appearance. It's about love, compassion, and truth. So yes, chosen ones take longer to believe. Their path isn't easy, and it's definitely not typical. But everything they go through, the pain, the doubt, the silence, the searching, it all leads to something powerful. A kind of faith that doesn't waver with trends or opinions. A connection to God or the universe that is deeply personal, deeply earned. And when they finally awaken to it, they don't just believe, they know. And that knowing becomes a light for others. If you're someone who's felt out of place, who's wrestled with big questions, who's been hurt by religion, but still feels something calling you, this is your reminder. You're not late. You're not broken. You're just on the path of the chosen. And your delay is not a detour. It's design. Some people don't leave religion because they're arrogant or angry. They leave because their hearts can't take the pain of lies anymore. They sit in churches or temples and ask themselves, if this is really God's house, why is there so much pride here? Why do people seem divided? Why is there so much ego? They feel confused when truth is twisted, when love feels like a performance, and when the message of peace is mixed with judgment. They don't walk away out of rebellion. They walk away out of integrity. They still love God. They just don't recognize Him in the institution anymore. With time, something deep starts to awaken in them. A quiet truth begins to rise. They start to see that human beings are flawed, but the divine is not. People will disappoint you, but God remains pure. So they begin to separate the actions of people from the Spirit of God. They understand that the Creator does not live only in buildings or rituals. He lives in hearts that stay soft, honest, and humble. And when they reach that point, they feel free. They realize they don't need a church pew or a religious leader to find God. They carry Him inside them. They become the temple. They find peace in stillness, clarity in nature, and healing in silence. God meets them there, not in stained glass, but in their raw, open spirit. For most people, faith is passed down. They grow up believing what their family believes. It's like a set of clothes they never chose, just inherited. Many never question it. But the ones who are truly awakened, the chosen ones, are different. Their journey doesn't follow tradition. It's not inherited. It's discovered. They don't walk a path that was mapped out for them. They have to carve out their own way through confusion, doubt, and even rejection. Their spiritual journey often starts alone. It's not something they plan, it just happens. Something pulls them away from the familiar. Sometimes it's a crisis, sometimes just a deep question that won't go away. Suddenly, the people and places they once leaned on no longer make sense. All that's left is silence and their own soul. But in that silence, something beautiful begins. They start to hear things they never noticed before. They cry when no one's watching. They think deeply. They read books from mystics, sit under trees, stare at the stars. They ask big questions. Why am I here? Who is God really? And slowly, their faith starts to grow again. But this time, it's real. It's not based on someone else's rules. It's based on personal experience. It's something they fought for. So it's strong. It's rooted. It can't be shaken because it wasn't given, it was built. This kind of awakening gives them strength, but it also makes them different. They no longer fit into the systems they once followed. They stop pretending. They stop performing. And because of that, they are often misunderstood. But their difference is their gift. It's what prepares them to lead, to teach, to heal, not by copying others, but by following divine inspiration. They're not here to fit in. They're here to light the way. But this journey is not easy. People with big purpose often face big battles. Before they even understand who they are, they're already being attacked. The chosen ones often experience pain very early in life. They struggle with things that seem to come out of nowhere: addiction, anxiety, depression, self-doubt. They hear voices in their mind telling them they're not enough. They feel weighed down by sadness they can't explain. These are not just emotional issues. These are spiritual attacks. There are forces in this world that try to stop people with great light. The darkness can sense your purpose before you do. That's why so many gifted people feel broken before they even begin. But the truth is, they are not broken, they are being tested. The enemy tries to wear them down, to confuse them, to make them give up. But slowly, they learn how to fight back. They find strength in prayer, self-love, and spiritual practice. They learn how to recognize the lies and not believe them. They build a kind of armor, not one made of metal, but of faith and truth. And as they grow stronger, they begin to help others. They become a light in the lives of people still lost in the dark. Their journey isn't straight or simple. It twists and turns through places of sadness, confusion, and fear. They go through what many call the dark night of the soul. During those times, it feels like even God has gone quiet. They wonder if they've been forgotten. They question everything: life, love, faith, even their own purpose. It's lonely, it's hard, and it can last a long time. But here's the truth. The darkness isn't a mistake. It's not a punishment. It's part of the process. In that darkness, everything falls away. All the masks, all the fake beliefs, all the things that never truly served them, they all crumble. What's left is something raw, something real. And when they come out of it, they don't come out with shallow beliefs. They come out with truth burned into their bones. They don't just believe in light, they've become it. They've touched it after walking through the dark. They felt both the absence and the presence of God. And because of that, their faith is deep. It's not something they just talk about. It's something they live. People like this don't need to preach. Their energy speaks for them. When they walk into a room, something shifts. Others feel comforted, understood, even healed, because this person has been there. They've survived pain. They've found light. And they carry it with them now, not as an idea, but as a lived truth. To walk this path, you need more than surface level belief. You need a real connection with the divine. Many people believe in God because it's what they were taught. But for those with deep spiritual purpose, belief isn't enough. They are being prepared for something bigger, for healing others, for standing strong in storms, for leading others toward light. And that kind of purpose requires a deep relationship with the divine. It requires going through fire, losing people, facing rejection, getting back up over and over again. But once they've been through all of that, they become unshakable. They carry divine light within them. It's not just what they do, it's who they are. So if you've ever felt lost in religion, if you've ever questioned everything, if you've ever felt like you didn't belong anywhere, you are not alone. You are not broken. You are not late. You are being shaped by something greater. Your path was never meant to be average. It was always meant to be sacred. And sacred paths are slow. They are deep. They require time, pain, reflection, and courage. But when you awaken, when you finally understand who you are and who God is, your light becomes a guide for others. You will help people out of the same darkness you once knew. You'll become the very thing you were searching for. You'll become a healer, a light bringer, a safe place for others. Your pain will have a purpose. Your past will become part of someone else's healing. This message isn't for everyone. It's for those who've always felt different. For those who never quite fit in. For those who asked questions others were afraid to ask. For those who cried silently, questioned deeply, and kept searching for something real. You weren't meant to follow the crowd. You were meant to awaken. If this message found you at the right time, if it touched something inside you, if it made you feel seen or reminded you of who you really are, take it as a sign. You are not behind. You are exactly where you're meant to be. Your journey is unfolding just as it should. You don't need permission. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to be anyone other than who you truly are. You are enough. You are becoming. And your light, your hard-earned, sacred light, will change lives. Welcome home.